are you obligated to pay a realtor for the services they provide? It's the Real Estate Show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples, and welcome to my office. Today we're going to talk a little bit about when you're obligated to pay your realtor for the services that they provide. Real estate's a little bit different than some of the other industries in that you don't actually pay any kind of commissions out unless the job that the realtor's been hired for has been completed. Now let's talk about you guys out there that are sellers, that are looking to sell your home. You're going to interview a number of realtors, and you're going to decide on the real estate agency and the realtor that's going to represent you in the sale of your home. So one of the first things that you're going to do once you talk and come to an agreement is you're going to sign what's called a listing contract. Now that listing contract is not only to list the home for sale, but it's actually a hiring contract, an employment contract, if you will. You're the boss, the realtor is your employee. Not so much as set up the way the IRS would call a boss and an employee, but you're contracting with the realtor and their firm to do certain things in order to accomplish getting your home sold. Now, during the term of that contract length, whatever you've negotiated, and whatever commission amount you may have agreed to pay the realtor once they complete the job, the realtor is going to provide all their multiple services, their knowledge, their expertise, and all of their efforts, and sometimes under their own costs, to accomplish getting your home sold. And you at this particular point owe them nothing. You do owe them cooperation, but you don't owe them anything monetary. Now, the issues with this that many realtors will have is they work very, very hard. And of course, during the term of this contract, they may spend money on marketing, whether it's print advertising, social media, putting the house on websites, building virtual tours, multiple things, open houses, brokerage stores, you name it. And this costs the realtor money to do these things. And they're doing it all for the possibility of finding a ready, willing, and able buyer who's going to purchase the home, and the home is going to close. And when I say close, folks, what I'm talking about is you get all through the different levels of what you've got to go through in the real estate transaction. You get to the closing table, title to the home transfers, deeds are written, keys are exchanged, the sale is completed. It's only then that the commission becomes due to the realtor. Anytime before that, there could be situations where a deal does not happen. It falls apart. We call that DFTs, or deal fell apart. Could be inspection issues, could be change of minds, could be different situations that change between the buyer and seller, whatever. If it does not close, the realtor does not get paid, and you're not obligated to pay them. Now, there are exceptions. I'm not going to say that it's 100% you don't pay them. There could be situations where the realtor has done their job, found a ready, willing, and able buyer, and for some reason the seller just out of the blue sky decides to back out of the deal, they no longer want to sell. The realtor may decide that, hey, I did my job, I need to be paid and compensated for my efforts, and there might be a commission that may have to be paid out in that situation. But in most cases, you're looking very simply at hiring the realtor to do a specific job, and they're not going to earn their commission until that job's completed. talk to a lot of people out there, and it amazes me, and I've mentioned this before on the real estate show, how many folks out there don't understand the relationship between their realtor and themselves when they're looking to buy a home. It's an interesting relationship in that when you decide to work with a realtor, you're going to sign a hiring agreement. We call it a buyer representation agreement. You're hiring that realtor and their agency to help you seek out and find a home that you want to put an offer in and buy. Now, what is the cost of doing that? How much do you have to pay the realtor? I mean, this is an individual that's going to take time and go out and show you houses. They're going to do research on neighborhoods for you. They're going to assemble all kinds of information. I mean, they're working for you. Aren't you going to owe them some kind of money for those services? Well, the answer is yes and no. And what I mean by that is, in most cases, when you sign that buyer representation agreement, it is going to state what the duties of the realtor are for you, what you're looking for, and how much of a commission the realtor is going to expect to get for their services should they find you a home, you buy the home, and subsequently the home sale closes. Now, most of the time the realtor is going to solicit that commission through a co-brokership relationship through the multiple listing service. In other words, the seller who has listed their home with an agency has agreed to a commission amount based on the sales price of the home. They'll be paying that agency that commission for completing that job. The buyer and their agent, or the buyer's agent and agency, will be compensated part of that money that's paid from the seller through this co-brokering relationship. So most of the time, the buyer is not paying the commission to the realtor directly. It's coming from the seller's side. Now, this is kind of a great thing because you get to look at a whole bunch of houses and use the expertise and knowledge of a real estate professional, and it costs you nothing. We've seen recently some other industries try to copy the real estate model by offering services and saying, we don't get paid unless you do, or we don't get paid unless the job is completed. Well, it's kind of that same type of thing. Now, there could be situations where, based on your agreement, you might agree to pay the realtor a fee for their services. But most of the time, the realtor is out there arranging to show you houses, and unless you buy something during the term of that contract, you're not obligated to pay them any kind of commission. Let's talk about the rate of pay for a realtor in a situation where you're negotiating a contract. All contracts are negotiations between two parties, and it doesn't become binding unless both parties agree and both parties sign the agreement. When you're dealing with listing a home, you and the realtor and the agency to which you choose to work for are going to come up with a listing contract. And that listing contract is going to say how much commission you're willing to pay on the sales price of the home if and when the house sells and it does go to the closing. Now, commissions are negotiable. There's no set fee, folks. Any realtor that does a presentation that says this is what our fee is or this is the fee we charge is not really doing you justice, because fees are negotiable. What are the common fees? Well, it depends on the area and it depends on what the real estate agents are charging. But you want to discuss what that percentage is before you sign the contract and agree to it. How that is computed is it's usually computed off the sales price of the home. Now, this can get kind of tricky. So in your initial meeting with your realtor, you want to talk about what is the actual sales price of the home going to be. Is it the asking price? Is it the contracted price? Is it the price that you and the buyer agree to? Net any kind of credits that you may offer, like if you're going to participate in their closing costs or you're going to give them credits for repairs, and it's the net amount. You have to discuss this all up front, because the realtor is obligated to work with a co-broker or the other side, buyer's agent in the case of listing a home, to discuss with that agency how the commission is going to be divided up and what that agency can expect to be paid should the sale go through. It's the same thing on the buyer's side. If a buyer is looking to purchase a home and it's not listed through a listing contract with a seller, through the multiple listing service with an agency. Let's say it's an individual that's selling their home out there and they decided not to work with an agency. They're selling it by themselves. There is that situation where if they hire a professional realtor, the realtor may charge the buyer a commission percent based on their efforts of negotiating and getting that contract with the for sale by owner and closing on that home. Now, the realtor may also say that if that is a situation, they will try to collect their commission from the seller so that the buyer's not paying the commission directly. But in all cases, it's a discussion you need to have when you're sitting down and you're talking with your realtor. I've told a story many times here on the real estate show. I tell stories about different experiences I've had as a realtor over the years. And I think I shared a story one time on the real estate show on how I had gone out to dinner with an older couple. And the gentleman that I was having the dinner with could not understand why anyone would do any kind of a job where there's absolutely no guarantee of being paid for the services they provide. Well, that's the way the real estate industry works. You know, realtors are out there, they're working really hard for their buyer or for their seller to accomplish that goal, and they're running all the risks themselves as to whether or not they're going to accomplish the task they've been hired for, and that is getting the home sold and getting it to closing. A lot of realtors who do this business find that if they set their plate early, in other words, what I mean by that, folks, is when they first meet with you, whether you're a seller or whether you're a buyer, and they sit down and they explain the process of the real estate transaction, how everything will happen or will be scheduled to happen, so that there's a clear understanding between the parties that are being contracted to each other. Usually, in most cases, if things follow the way they are supposed to go, the realtor will earn a commission for the job that they've done. Now, there are situations where the realtor's not going to earn that commission, as I said, and those are all different things that you need to be aware of and you need to discuss. Let's take a look at this quick little presentation for fun, and I'll be back with what I call the real estate mailbag. This is the portion of the show I call the Real Estate Mailbag. It's my opportunity to address questions that are sent to me here at the Real Estate Show, or just asked to me when I'm out and about. And I've been kind of teasing the audience out there over the last few real estate shows that there's a huge announcement that's going to be coming soon here to the Real Estate Show. And I'm not quite ready. There was a little bit of a delay in getting ready to launch what we were planning to do. But I will talk about that very, very soon on the Real Estate Show. The question that came in via email was actually what gave me the topic of this show. When do you pay your realtor? Do you pay them up front? Do you pay them during? Do you have to pay them in installments? Do you pay them after? How do you pay a real estate agent? Well, as I've said, whether you're the seller or the buyer, the commission is paid out of the proceeds when the property closes. That's when the realtor actually collects the commission check. Now, you don't really need to know the details of how a commission check is broken up, but in a nutshell, the agent or realtor that you're working for works for a broker or an agency. It's the agency that earns the commission. The agency is who is paid. The agency is who the check goes to when the sale completes. That check is turned in by the realtor, and then the realtor gets compensation from their broker based on whatever their contract is with their agency. We call it a split in our industry. That's how they're paid. But you have to keep in mind that all realtors that are out there are independent contractors. They're self-employed people. So their incentive is to do the best job they can in helping you accomplish your real estate goal. Because if they do a good job, they get paid. My name is Rick Naples, and this has been the Real Estate Show. I thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.